10x your service design offering with Smaply. Take 20% off any order with This Is HCD 20 off. Let's superpower you and your design team's potential. Sign up at smaply.app. Enjoy the episode from your friends at Smaply, helping support This Is HCD podcast.
The cool thing about an experiment, you don't know what the outcome will be, or else it's not an experiment.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I don't like about business cases. You're focused on too much on what the outcome needs to be.
Yeah.
But now they're asking, hey, that's an experiment. Try to figure out what the cheapest version to fail is, and how do you capture feedback? And that's such a different way of coming up with ideas and bringing them to life in Miro.
Sid, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah.
How are you?
Yourself?
I'm all right. Bit awkward being in the middle of Miro face to face, but it's all good. I'm delighted to be here. We've just had a great tour. For the second time, we've been collaborating with one of my clients, which is the TGA in Saudi Arabia. And we had them in and they walked them around and stuff. Now, one of the pieces that I feel is really, really fitting to the audience of the Human-Centered Design Network is the work that you particularly are doing in and around the Living Lab. Before we jump into that, maybe you'll tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Miro.
Yeah, so my name is Sid van Wijk. I'm based in Amsterdam, work for Miro for 2 years now. I lead their strategic engagement programs, which is two things, our customer advisory boards and our executive briefing centers, which we call the Miro Discovery Center. So I lead both of those programs.
So what's the outcome of those pieces like? So that's kind of what you do, but what are you hoping to achieve by doing that work?
Got it. So my focus is really to meet with our top clients, but in person. So this building where we are, which you call the Living Lab, here in Amsterdam, our headquarters, where we could meet with these customers in person to really build a stronger relationship with, but also tell. This is the thing with perception, right? In a world where everything changes really fast, technology changes really fast, we change really fast as a company, perception usually doesn't, right? So we are 13 years old.
13 years old today.
Here we go. It's our birthday. Super cool.
It's my birthday.
And they're visiting. So nice.
Yeah,
we actually have people visiting on our birthday. Very cool. We started with whiteboarding, right? And this is the thing. Well, once you see us as whiteboarding, it's very difficult for us to move that perception, right? If you look at Miro now, it's so much more. And when we spend a day together here and just talk about it, we can really change that perception and really get you thinking about all the stuff you can do with Miro, which is so much more than just whiteboarding. That's like 10% of it.
Yeah. So like, first of all, this is not a commercial. This is not, I know it looks like we've got the brand and all that kind of stuff here, but it's just the perfect room for a podcast. I use your tool and I've been on the journey from 2011 to now. So real-time board into Miro. And in that time, my kind of usage of it has shifted from just a place to put research to really how I work and how I run my business.
Yeah, cool.
Is that kind of like the same trajectory? Is that like, am I part of the flow of the evolution of Miro? Is that what you want your customers to be doing?
Well, I like that you say that, because in a sense, you could say that work happens on a Miro board, right? I mean, we have this building, work happens in a building, but I think that is more supportive of where work happens, because we all know that work actually happens on the laptop in a tech stack, right?
Yeah.
We want to be that connecting tissue where we are this hub integrating with everything. So when you have this idea, this project, it all lands on Miro and you can end to end build it from there. Right.
Okay.
So, and the cool thing is we have formulated a mission statement when we were born 13 years ago, and it's still the same. And that's really focused on empowering teams to create the next big thing. Right. So the focus is on teams getting them on a Miro board, right, and really helping them with that innovation process, right?
Yeah.
An idea that becomes that next big thing, whatever that is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's so much more than whiteboarding. No?
Yeah. With the pandemic, like just going back to that, because I remember, one of your competitors, I was doing a little bit of work with them at that point, and they mentioned that there was a hockey stick moment of adoption. Yeah. So they just said, look, the growth is just absolutely out of this world.
Yeah.
So I found myself running my business, running all the training, running coaching through Miro. Okay. And now we find ourselves in that hopefully post-pandemic world. I don't know if it's still safe enough to say that. I feel like a bit like in a movie. If I say it out loud, it might actually come back.
Yeah.
But if...
Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. It didn't happen. But one of the things that I really liked about when we were catching up and connecting is the approach to the hybrid model between people who are working from home and people who are in the office.
Yeah, interesting.
And we spent a long time today chatting about that evolution, because people are still distributed and they're still working remotely. And it creates this kind of, this gap, or this, I don't even think it's an uncanny valley, but it seems like a sort of a point where you could say it. But you had a lot of kind of intel in that space and how you see dialing people in who are working from home and giving them the equity so they're not seen as a second class.
Exactly. We're all first class.
We're all first class. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your experiments.
Got it.
And what you used. Yeah.
And we have a huge culture of experimentation at Miro. And we do know that before the pandemic, we were like 250 people, and now we're nearing 2,000, right? Massive growth over a very short 5
years.
time. Yeah. We had one office before the pandemic. Now we have 13.
Was this the office?
No, this was not the office, right?
One across the road?
We had it in Amsterdam, smaller one, we had to grow. And now we are about 900 people are here in Amsterdam.
Okay,
so we're outgrowing this even.
Yeah.
But we didn't know how we had to work together in person, right? Because we grew this much over the pandemic. And the cool thing, what you really see in the culture of Miro, a lot of people discovered Miro during the pandemic because they had to find tools to work together to collaborate. And a lot of those people jumped on, like, oh, that's exciting. And they joined in that excitement. So you really see that in the culture. I find that really cool.
Yeah.
But we had to discover what our ways of working was going to be, because we had so limited experience with in person and what did that mean. And the pandemic was very predictable because every call was virtual. You know exactly what type of meeting it was going to be. You had only 16 steps from bed to office, right? And now we're all in person. Now we have so many new flavors to add to the mix. And we had to figure out, what does that mean for us? And we didn't know. And to figure that out, to learn, we set up a concept which we call the Living Lab. And this is like the blueprint here in Amsterdam, one of the offices where we set up everything for experimentation. So if you look at Living Lab, two components to it, right? Living, meaning that it's changing, right? You need to make sure that what you bring in is movable, so you can change. You can move it out in and redecorate as such. And you need to make sure that you can swap it efficiently as well. And for that reason, we have the far majority of furniture and technology on subscription, which means that if you look at this office and you look around, we don't own it. And for example, a chair could have an SLA of 3 weeks. If we don't like it, we could change it really fast based on feedback.
Yeah.
The other part, so that's the living part. Everything is on wheels, right? Everything we can change and bring back and swap it out. The lab aspect of it is where we invite everyone to the experimentation. But that's customers, that's internal as well. Because they know that we can change, they're very likely to give feedback. So we have multiple ways to get that feedback in. If they don't like a space or they're looking for something else, they know we can change. And because they know, they give more feedback. And this is the blueprint. And now we have 13 offices. So what we learn here, we distribute to the others as well. So,
I mean, when we were chatting earlier on, I was explaining about the business model canvas, which is a strategizer tool. And one of the elements in there is the customer relationship. And what I can see is the key to unlocking all of this experimentation is the leasing of the furniture. That's unlocked an awful lot of those bits where before we might have said, no, we can't do that.
But it's a subscription. It's not even lease. Because the cool thing about subscription is it's a monthly fee. So we partner with an agency who would just ask, what is the square meter? How many people do you need to cater for? We'll bring in a version 1. And every month, you pay a fixed amount
per person in the building, is it?
Well, it's all brought together on a single amount, right? But that doesn't increase when you swap something out, right? So the room we were in today, I always say that that's on a version 5. Yeah. And we figured out that there were whiteboard tables. I love that. So I reached out if we could have that, and now we have this new way of collaborating on the tables. I think that's super cool.
Absolutely. No, it's so cool because experimentation is one of the things that we're trying to foster within the service design community as well. That whole willingness to take the leap to really experiment. And it seems to be part of the DNA in here. So how do you get the word out there to people, like the other employees, that, hey, it's okay to experiment and it's not, a bad thing to suggest changes? Because that's a cultural piece.
Yeah, just don't ask them to build a business case.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's, they see the change, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, when they gave feedback on a room, you know those happy or not totems on the airport, right, with the sentiment analysis? Usually we put them out when there is a change. So people have this visual trigger like, something changed. Then we can get the sentiment of it as well. So because they provide feedback and we change based on it and they see we did something, so it means that we're listening, they're going to provide more feedback after that as well. And this spreads quite fast internally as well. But in the end, this is more expensive, huh? But you'll build it. You're building in so much innovation because you're not locked in, and it always feels new.
Yeah.
But we learned so much throughout these 2 years doing this that we now have a really good understanding of what the balance is that we're going for. How many collaboration spaces do you need? What do they look like? How many desks do you need in an office, for example? We're going to a new office, I think in a half year's time, and we have a really good grip on how we think that should look like and what the best office is.
Yeah. So there's two questions to this. One, who watches the metrics and who basically does that?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the first part we'll answer, and I'll come back to the second part.
Well, we have a workplace team which is really focused on this when you talk about workplace. And so there is someone dedicated on tracking all this data and setting up the feedback loops and extracting data from that. And we have multiple ways to really figure out, okay, how do we capture feedback? How do we bring that in? So a survey is one. The totems are another thing, right?
Yeah.
But we also have focus groups where we're really trying to figure out with maybe a department or a team of what is your way of working.
Yeah.
We also do a lot of observation. So we have one large room. It's enormous. We call it the Miro Dojo. This is where agile teams go.
Okay, yeah.
And it's full. There's too much in there. Too much furniture, too much technology. But they can just grab whatever. They set themselves up for success. They take a screen, another screen, could be different brands constantly because we're experimenting with that as well.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to figure out, okay, what did they actually use? And then we ask, okay, was that good?
Okay.
Right?
So the flip side of that question about who's measuring it, and yeah, sure enough, people give feedback and say they like it.
It's part of the lab. You're not a lab. You can run an experiment. The cool thing about an experiment, you don't know what the outcome will be, or else it's not an experiment.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I don't like about business cases. You're focused on too much on what the outcome needs to be.
Yeah.
But now they're asking, hey, that's an experiment. Try to figure out what the cheapest version to fail is, and how do you capture feedback? And that's such a different way of coming up with ideas and bringing them to life in Miro.
So there's like the bit why I'm probing on this one a little bit more is, people will listen to it and people in their businesses might say, well, we couldn't do that because we have to have a justification on what the outcome is. Like, is it better, outputs in terms of the quality of the outputs, the quality of the collaboration, the quality, is there a business metric that we can put against this to show that it's working?
It would be great if you can find something which is measurable, right? I'm not saying that the full company needs to go in this direction, but you do need to figure out what are the pockets and areas where we can do this with, right? And what can we create a section or a part of the office or a part of a team which is free to do this, right? Yeah. And
absolutely.
That's difficult to get to, but there are so many learnings. And I think the learnings, once you've shared those learnings internally, I hope that will help to do it again and do it again absolutely. And go bigger, right?
So going all the way back to the remote sessions. So whenever you've got live calls with people, and people, as you said, you got a good scenario there of like, oh, I need to pick the kids up. I'm going to do that when I'm in the car versus I'm going to do it in a cafe, or I'm sick, I'm home in bed, and I don't want to show my face.
So really the driver behind hybrid. Right? Yeah. So a hybrid engagement or a hybrid meeting when you have an audience in front of you, right? Yeah. And an audience which is not there, remote, right? Yeah. And that happens to us, right? And the driver is so important because it is not that we plan for hybrid. It is not that we book a meeting and say, I'm going to these people are going to go remote and these people I'm going to invite. It's not going to go like that. You set up a meeting and people are going to decide if they're going to join remotely or in person. Right? Yeah. So to your point, I'm going to pick up the kids. It's a personal driver. You decide that you want to pick up the kids, so you decide to take the rest of the day virtually, remote, right?
Sure.
And that is when hybrid happens. And the difficulty around this is the expectation towards it.
Yeah.
It is not that you have a meeting in your calendar. Do you look at your calendar and say, that is acceptable to do remotely or anything?
I've started to do it a lot more where I gauge and say, well, actually, I know that person. Yeah. I've worked with them. If they're a collaborator, then I'll do it on the fly.
Yeah.
In terms of on the fly, I could do it in a coffee shop. I could be out and about shopping. But if it's a client, I'm definitely at my desk.
Yeah.
Like I still feel that draw for professionalism, to be there, to have the high quality camera, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. It's we started calling it this whole thing a paradox.
Yeah. And
really because everyone wants flexibility. And I asked our recruiters and they said it's like a top 3 question, right? The person we're interviewing, they're asking, what does it mean to you? What is flexibility? Where can I work, right? Do we have fixed office hours or what is it like? But they also, so they want that. They want to have that work-life balance. Yeah. But on the other end, they also want to be as involved and as the rest. And they want to have a similar experience as the rest, right? Yeah. And this makes it hard, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can you combine both, right? And that feels like a paradox.
Yeah. So in the scenario you went this morning where we were saying, okay, well, you've got the camera behind you, the butt cam as you call it, where it's focusing on your rear.
Which is usually a camera, which is, you see in meeting rooms when there is this screen which is clearly focused on sitting. Right? Sitting workshops, and the camera is on table height. Yeah. But once you present and stand in front of the screen, that is at a weird height, right? Yeah. The butt cam.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of have to get out of your way, and then people are forced to be doing a little bit of this, and then they might get a bit of the armpit kind of perspective and stuff.
And this is how we build a relationship with them, I guess. Hello.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you turn around and they might see the screen. Yeah. And it's clunky, for the want of a better word. And one of the alternate kind of solutions that we were saying, well, maybe you could have a 360 camera on the table where the people joining, they get more visibility of all the people there. You tried that. How did it go?
The thing is, that is great visibility for the people at home. But when you have that 360 cam, no one talks to it. Yeah. So it means if there is a 360 cam, I'm not going to talk to that camera because I don't see you there, right? Yeah. I'm going to see you here. So I'm going to talk to you where I see you. Yeah. But if the camera is now there, it will look at my ear. So it will not feel spoken to. Yeah. So there is a disconnect. And I'm trying to figure out what is the most natural of setup. So I always make sure that the camera, the microphone, and the screen where I see you are amongst the audience. Yeah. Which is, in the far majority of rooms I've seen, and I've seen a lot, they are, the party sound.
The party's coming through. Hopefully the mics are picking us up.
We need to go deeper here. Yeah. The far majority of rooms have this one screen with a camera fixed to it, right? So now I'm talking to a room full of people and I'm going to address them because I get feedback from them. A lot of communication is nonverbal, right? They're going to nod. I'm going to talk to that person. And the rest is now watching my back, right? And it's very easy for me to forget them because I don't see them. I cannot do this constantly. That's going to be exhausting. Don't feel natural. We have a concept which we call the facilitator gym. So we do training sessions, right? It's a muscle. You need to build that. And we do testing sessions for hybrid. And within 2 minutes, everyone forgot the remote participants.
Right? Oh, really?
Yeah, really fast. Because we don't see them. So this is what I do, right? Yeah. I make sure that there is a second screen because I want to separate content from people's screens. Yeah. Because I don't want to compromise, right? This is my slides. That's what I want to show. I don't want that to mix with the video conferencing and the people. Yeah. I need that to be slide and I need another screen amongst the audience where I can see you. Okay. So we can talk to you, right?
Yeah. And there's a camera presumably on that.
Because I am going to look at the screen and you feel looked at if the camera is there as well.
And can you position that so they've got the same perspective of the people you're presenting to that are in the room, physically in the room?
Let's say this is the table, right? And I'm presenting here in the screen behind me. This is like a large boardroom table. I always place it here next to the screen. Okay. So they're close to me. so they can hear me better, so they feel closer to me. And now the rest of the table can also see them. Yeah. So the rest of the audience will not forget about them either.
Okay.
Right? And now I have more... The cameras which are in there are... they can easily hear me because it's close.
Yeah.
Right? I can place it at the far end of the table, which I've seen rooms doing that as well. But now all the audience here, they will look at me presenting and they will forget them.
Okay.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I make sure that this screen is on
multi-dimensions
wheels, so I can roll it in.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like one bit I really liked. It's like it's equitable design in that sense that you're giving the same emphasis to the people in the room as you are. So you've got a parking space at the table, so to speak, for people to dial in. That's the remote space.
And this part of the table is blocked. No one sits there. That's for everyone who is remote sitting there. Right?
Okay,
so they feel like they're sitting on the table. That's the feeling I want to give to someone who's not there.
So do you have is it a screen that fits on a chair? Because I've seen this, I don't know if you know the TV show Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
They had something like that before. I think it was in Huli, if anyone remembers that, where they dial in and there's a screen on the top of the chair and they're like, hi everyone.
I remember these meetings where I was the only person dialing in and they had this screen which was 65-inch large, and I was the only person dialing in. So my head was big on the screen, and it was against the window. So I saw the reflection in the meeting. So I saw how big a presence I had in that meeting. It felt very awkward.
Yeah.
We have a Neat frame. That Neat is the brand, Norwegian brand, gorgeous brand, which is like this big, right?
Okay.
Portrait size, and often it is only one person dialing in.
Yeah.
I just put that near a chair, so they feel like they're on the table. That feels very cool.
So that whole kind of liminal or kind of in between states, like the grid edge of experiences, as I say in the podcast, seems to be an area that is evolving from the perspective of Sid and not the perspective of Miro. Where do you see the future of online and real world collaboration going? You're rubbing your face, going to go, no, don't ask me this question.
I'm trying to think what it means.
I mean, if you'd have said to us 5 years ago that we were still facing these challenges, you might have been like, oh, I thought we would have tackled it by now. Yeah. What does it look like in another 5 years?
No, we have a lot of learnings, but we're far from there, right? It doesn't feel like we have a best practice towards it yet. I like the whole concept of asynchronous collaboration.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to expand our thinking of a meeting. When we have a meeting, it feels like, oh, that's synchronous, present, we're all there, right? Mm-hmm. But I think there's a lot more to it in the preparation of it. We all know that we work from home, we feel more effective.
Yeah.
I think when we send out the meeting, it needs to have some sort of a homework where we say, hey, let's already capture some ideas. Let's do some alone thinking on it and bring that to the engagement. So we all know the meeting culture is not, it feels a bit broken. We have too many meetings. When it was a pandemic, it was like back to back. It was exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And virtually, which made it even more exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think we're all trying to figure out a way that we can be more productive in that sense. This morning I shared as well, let's try to figure out how we can let go of 9 to 5, right? In the example of creative workers, what I don't want is interruption, right? That's a huge killer of creativity. So they're trying to find ways where they can work in a space and time where there's limited interruption. And that could as well be at home after 10.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe because of that, because the 9 to 5 model, 40-hour work week is designed 100 years ago for factory workers.
Yeah.
What does it mean to knowledge workers? And you say 5 years ahead, but we've been working in the same way for 100 years, right?
Yeah.
So I could mention stuff like VR, right? Which I think it has possibilities in it, and it's going to be a flavor of collaboration, and we're looking at it, and it's going to be super cool once it's there, but it will take time for adoption. But there is so much potential.
But when you frame it that way, though, it's almost like we're at the beginning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like we're kind of seeing the end of some of these patterns of.
We need more people to experiment with it, and more people to just throw it open and saying that this is what works for us. This is what we're trying.
Would it be kind of cynical enough for me to say that it's a selling point from a HR perspective that there's a huge amount of flexibility to attract top talent?
Yeah.
That's obviously a huge driver as well for this. Is there a requirement for Miro employees to come back into the office a certain amount of days, set days a week?
Well, not a requirement, right? But we are actively looking for good reasons to come in. Right.
Okay,
we want it to make sense that you're in the office. We want your office day to be different in working from home. We want you to design it as such. If you're having if you're coming to an office just to sit in the phone booth to have Zoom calls, then we need to redesign it. And a lot of people have that feeling, right? It was mandatory. I had to go to the office. And I love to ask customers that when you meet someone in the hallway and you ask, why are you here? And that's quiet. And I said, what will they say? And they say like, well, I had to. I had to be in the office. That is all the wrong reasons. Right?
Yeah, I know some of the other big tech companies, that's kind of their mantra. Like you need to be 3 days a week, 2 days from home.
But the thing is also how we measure it, because...
So what are you measuring? Tell us more about that.
Well, we need to focus more on outcome of it, but we do need to share that widely. And for example, standing in line in coffee can be very productive. You might meet someone who you get share a project blocker with, and he's going to point you to someone who can help you out. Try to measure that.
Yeah.
But we all know that there's productivity. It's like hidden productivity, but that was good, right?
Yeah.
How do you create that in a virtual world, right? That's serendipity.
Yeah.
So for me, that there's a lot of value in coming in for that to happen, and we need to create a space for that to happen. So if you go into an office and you have back to back,
it's pointless.
Then you don't create room for it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those kind of spaces are, and I love the fact because I've been going on my own journey with regards creating space for that creative thought to occur. And I'm becoming better at having my meetings maybe in the first couple of hours of the day and then just freeing it up.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're seeing that new employees come in need to be coached into this kind of way of thinking? Because there will definitely be people carrying from other tech companies who work differently and think differently.
Yeah.
How do you get them to release that tension?
So with Miro, we see that this is coming from top down.
Okay.
So when I want to have a meeting with our COO, for example,
that's right. Bad joke.
A lot of people dancing there. He's asking me to add something to the meeting where I share what I'm expecting from the meeting. And we always add a Miro board to the meeting, which has a recording. That's a talk track, where I briefly explain to him, and he can play it in 1.5 speed if he wants, what I want, right? So we can make a decision in like 10 minutes, right? So they are actively trying to work with us in such a way. And because it's coming down on us, we see that other people starting to adopt it more easily.
Yeah.
Right? And
it's really important because, that whole kind of permission to work autonomously is what's missed in an awful lot of organizations. So the permission to have that control of your own day doesn't happen by chance.
Yeah.
So there's leaders, there's middle management, a lot of people to enable it. Is there any drawbacks to this that you can see? I'm trying to play devil's advocate again here in terms of like so much control, so much flexibility. What is the potential to go wrong?
I think we have so many different working styles together. And I think some people flourish with this model and they can grab ownership of their agenda and they can deal with it really well. Right? And others struggle with it more. Now, the complexity is that these different personas are usually in one team. Yeah. And they do need to work together. And the example I shared earlier with you this morning from a junior developer, let's say, has a lot to learn, right? Wants to eavesdrop on other conversation with more senior, wants to ask that quick question. Because that is for him to speed up, right? And to learn and to accelerate his career. But the other will see that as interruption as well. Yeah. So they're thinking, I don't want the interruptions, killing so much creativity. I'm going to start working from home. Yeah. So you see where this is going, for a long time. Right? No one. Yeah. Then this junior developer goes to the office, sees no one's around, and they will stop coming to an office. Yeah. And so this needs to be managed. But it needs to be managed in such a way that you really say, okay, these are collaboration hours. This is fine where you have that interruption. That is going to be good for someone, more struggling for the other. But that needs to come together. We need to find that common ground in there. And I think that's super difficult.
Absolutely. Like there's no one answer to it. I remember, if I've got my headphones on, don't come near me. That was one of my cues.
Yeah.
I remember working with Luke, this phenomenal Dutch guy, actually, who's I used to have a business with. And he used to dream of having a red flag come up on his, he was a developer.
Yeah.
Red flag comes up as in like, absolutely do not come near me.
Yeah.
You know, and he had all these quantifiable metrics about like I'd lose 25 minutes of my thinking process.
Because a quick question.
But he's right.
Because if you ask a quick question before you're back to the same level of focus, it will take you 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Luke was saying this stuff to me, 2007.
Okay, cool.
And we were working in an ad agency, hat tip to TBWA there. And he was like, people would perceive him as probably being a little bit grumpy, but because he was being forced to work in a loud environment full of interruptions,